underway, the pinnacle of the championship tournament and a rematch, Gigi, of 2015's final where the Japanese snagged a rare gold medal against the USA.
Yes, indeed. It was an incredible match in 2015 World Under-23s in London. As you mentioned, it is a rematch. That final score was 17-15 in favor of the Japanese. I feel like the USA are wanting a little bit of redemption. We did see not as much of a successful program last year in Perth, Japan finishing 5th, the USA clinching gold yet again. Could we see it today?
Well, I don't know, Gigi. We'll have to find out as this game develops, but I, for one, am phenomenally excited. We'll be bringing you all of the action here all day, but stay tuned for this short break.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
Women's final here in front of us at the World Under-24 Championships 2019, a copyrighted program of the World Flying Disc Federation. And Georgina Morrison here with me in the booth, Hannah Pendlebury. You can reach out to us if you are tuned in live. We are streaming live globally here on UltiWorld and also cctv.com going out in China. So very, very exciting. You can reach out to us. I'm at DiscGal31 and Gigi is _GEE 17 as the Japanese will get us underway. Nice movement over to the far side and huge pressure from the USA. Michelle McGee going up big, getting the first turn early stages of this match. McGee. Lee there. Hansen grinding up the line, but the US find a reset. Oh, and Hansen's going to throw it into traffic, and there's a great block back for the Japanese. They go flying to retain possession. Hibiki Takase there with the block.
Incredible defensive awareness from the Japanese to start off with. Beginning the game with a little bit of a hiccup, throwing the disc into defensive pressure from the US, but then answering right back with a perfect read.
Well, and that's what we can expect from the US side, piling on the pressure here as we see a hero grab from Mika Yamauchi. The captain for the Japanese side has been so lethal throughout this tournament.
I thought her feet were inside, but I thought her hand was on the ground out of bounds when she caught it.
キャッチしたときに足は中に入ってたけど手がラインの外に出てたと思うんですけどっていう。
足は残した
で手は
手
そうキャッチしたときに多分手がついたっていう。
こっちが残ってても
で So you mean the hand was like on the ground?
Yeah, I thought her feet were inbounds, but her hand was on the ground before she caught. Her other hand was on the
キャッチする前
ground.
にそのキャッチした手じゃなくて手をついた方の ついた方の手がアウトバウンドだったっていう、そのキャッチした時にそっちが全然だった。
From my perspective, to be honest, it was too close to call if the left hand was already on the ground before she had possession. So the
right hand catch.
Yeah, that is why I can't tell. And
Yeah, she doesn't know because it was too close.
it was too close to call.
じゃあ近すぎてそのキャッチした後か後なのかキャッチする前についてたかがちょっとわからない。
We've reached the time limit at this point, so we should treat this as contested. Disc is going back.
So a contested out of bounds call. Of course, one of the wonderfully unique features of Ultimate Frisbee is the fact that it is self-refereed, players on the field in charge of the calls in the game, no external referees to make a decision, just our wonderful game advisors to provide a neutral perspective as the Japanese are being squeezed into that small channel and they try and reach up the far sideline, but it's going to be a disc too far.
Another missed connection. Maybe just waking up on the wrong side of the bed this morning for Japan.
We did see them coming out not so hot in their semi-final matchup against Canada. They did clean it up towards the end, but Trope there with a good reception under piling pressure from the defensive effort of the Japanese. Reaching grab. Heko fakes up line, finds an easy reset round to McGee. These are the big players of the US's offensive lines. Heko over to Trope. Not as fast as the USA would hope for their disc movement to be, but they do eventually find their resets. Has Harris available, and it's an easy pop for a score, and that is a break right out of the blocks for the USA. 1-0 they now lead.
Incredible movement from the USA, really showing how to dominate within the first points. They've proved why they are so far undefeated in this tournament. Just every single disc is so sure. They trust each other, they know, they've built these connections, especially throughout the length of this tournament. They've improved as a squad altogether.
And that is one of the unique things about this US side. They haven't really had too much time to connect together and play a lot of tournaments, contrary to the experiences of some of the other teams here in this division and at this championship at large. The US had one training weekend back, I believe that was in Colorado earlier on in the season, and then had a camp together ahead of this tournament. But you're right, Gigi, we have seen them develop wonderfully and blossom into the team you see before you. Players, normally rivals on different club and university sides, coming together for their home nation. And so the USA with another big pull for the Japanese to try and respond. As we mentioned already, they did have that early shaky start to the Canadians yesterday, but came back with firm form towards the end to grind it back. And this is much better stuff. Takase punches it into the center of the field. Imanishi to Nakayama. Puts it around. Oh, and a sleeping defender's caught, but the disc isn't, as that shot's a little too far to be reeled in by Yamauchi, their captain and stats leader for Japan.
Yamauchi was wide open in the end zone, just unable to get a second bid on the disc.
Heko there with a little stumble as she reels in the reset for the US. Nice inside shot, getting nice and low in the pivot does Ziba. Moving it smoothly, Nelson. Not one of the household names necessarily compared to some of her teammates, but been having a phenomenal tournament, churning up the stats board for the US. Oh, a low pass from Nelson. Does manage to be scooped up. Abigail Cheng, the trained opera singer, apparently has the best pipes on the US side. trailing grab though. The US are making this look very difficult for those unders in the center of the field. But great possession retention as they shoot for the end zone. Tasty, dainty footwork for the USA. Kira Lindrum with the score.
USA earn a break. You mentioned the fact that they make it look difficult, but these are some incredibly skilled athletes. They're probably some of the most experienced players that we have at this tournament. Many players from other squads having potentially only played for maybe a year or two. That's not uncommon, but the USA having a loss of depth as we get to see that wonderful shot. It sits so perfectly. It's well practiced, well trained. USA earn their break.
Well, when you do mention Gigi, teams with perhaps less experience, we definitely saw lots of action on the live stream from the Belgian women's team, who have, as we spoke about the US developing together over this tournament, they certainly have too. Their first presence at the under-24 level ever for the women's division, so glorious to see them out here. But they do have a couple on their roster who I think fewer than 6 months experience, which I can relate to. My first ever World Championship, I was in the same position back at under-20s many moons ago at this point. But the USA leading the charge here, looking very confident and calm. 14 passes to earn both of their breaks as they take charge here in this women's final. Japan, this is much better movement. The US did say they were going to try and force the Japanese to throw over or around them, as you see the height mismatch there on the mark. Nakayama, disc in hand. Nice movement across to Nemoto. Urata. Oh, a reaching grab, tumbling to the turf goes Mana Ono. Keeping possession alive better for the Japanese. Last time these two matched up was actually on the fields here in Heidelberg. Women's power pool as Japan advance ever so much closer to putting their first point on the board. Nemoto finds the reset. Nakayama. Nemoto reaching her arms out. Faking to try and move the mark, but this is great red zone defense for the USA, but eventually a target is found. Miyaoka with the score for Japan and a much needed hold.
Well-earned points for Japan, perfectly clean. There were a few layout bids, but that's not something that Japan are afraid of doing. We've seen them before make quite low shots. They do often have to save the disc. There's Miyaoka with the spike. An interesting fact about Miyaoka, she started playing Ultimate because of her aunt. Her aunt introduced her to the sport. And thankfully, we get to watch her play today.
Well, we do have some absolutely beautiful conditions down here in Heidelberg, Germany today. Local temperature 23 degrees Celsius or 72 Fahrenheit if you're from across the pond joining us here on this wonderful live stream coverage. It's been quite warm throughout the tournament, Gigi. Hydration's certainly been key in terms of recovery, but what else have these teams been doing?
A lot of relaxing. Japan just chilling out every evening, making sure that they look after each other, look after themselves. The USA, I'm not entirely sure, to be perfectly honest, but I can imagine that they've been having a lot of fun in the wonderful Heidelberg.
Well, they certainly have been bonding well. We mentioned Abigail Cheng, the trained opera singer. The USA women love a good sing-song. Maybe we can get them on karaoke later this evening. But what colour will the medals be round their neck at the party tonight? I'm not sure, but that is a beautiful disc. High-reaching lefty grab for Samia Ismail for a third point for the USA.
Ismail with another notch on the scoreboard. She's the leading score. Sorry, not the leading scorer. She's a leading statistician for assists, but earning an extra score, now getting 3 goals throughout the entire tournament. USA with a clean hold.
And this is exactly what you can expect to see from the USA. Nice, fast movement, high tempo ultimate here in front of us. But the height mismatches are something that the Japanese are going to have to deal with a little bit better than that. They did have a good game earlier on in this tournament. Of course, the Japanese bitterly disappointed, having lost back in Perth due to the round robin format. Did not see them advance to even the top 4 at that particular championship. But here they did have a power pool matchup against the USA, so they got to have a little sneak preview. The USA were a bit experimental in that match, but that one kind of developed, lots of trading, couple of breaks going in favor of the Japanese. They took half 8-6, but then the USA went on a run at the very end to eke out an eventual victory, 15-12. And at the moment, it's the USA in charge of this game. Nice high reaching pass, Yamauchi, captain of the Japanese unit, who we've likened to a synchronized swimming team earlier stages, but that's a big sky ball. It's going to be blocked. Excellent defense by Abigail Cheng. So USA, another opportunity for a break. They're going to have to advance down the entirety of the length of the field in order to do so. Werfeli, big pressure there, just going into the floor. Lindgren making sure she secures the catch. Oh, and that's a lovely leading flick. Huck, but snagged out of the air. The defense snaffle it up. Japan's with the block. Nice layout clap catch. Again, we've seen so many of those from the Japanese, and they put a much better disc now. That is gorgeous scenes from the Japanese women's side, and they charge the field. Rightfully delighted at that hold.
Momoka Hiroshima with the score for Japan, putting them closer to pile on the pressure for the US. Hiroshima, a nurse for a day job. Whenever the team needs looking after, she's the one that will take the charge in that. And we see that wonderful grab again, saving the Japanese offense.
And wonderful stuff from the Japanese women's unit. They can get blocks on high discs for this team. The D there going to Kanari Imanishi. Oh my goodness, putting my teeth back. Imanishi, my goodness. We've already mentioned Imanishi, the fact that she is the stats leader for the Japanese women's side. 16 goals and 13 assists. What a whopper she's been having of a tournament here.
I can imagine that she's got a lot of the defensive bids as well. Unfortunately, we don't have the stats for that, but they must be within the double digits by this point.
Well, it's possible that her coaching unit do have those details. Maybe we can get them to share with us later on after this game is closed out. But at the moment, it is in action. Harris in the center of the field puts up a nice one into the space for Trope. Hasley available, isolated all alone in the end zone. Now joined by some teammates as the US flood through. High disc, intended target is Angela Zhu, but she's going to be backed up. And that is not the sweetest play for the USA, but effective all the same. They punch in their 4th goal.
No call on the grab. A fair bit of contact going out for it, but Lee saving that high stall count grab. As you mentioned, not the intended target, looking for Angela Zhu.
You can see the explosivity there on the grab, just really punching the body out of the turf to make that snag nice and aggressive. And that is what you have to do to pick out a sky ball. Oh, I suppose it's not really a ball, it's a disc, Gigi. But that's what we call it.
I mean, the sport is often known as flat ball to some communities.
Indeed, or you can think of the St Andrews programme, I believe, the University of St Andrews, back in our home nation of Scotland. If you are watching this game live, you can reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram. We are both consistent with our social media handles. I'm at DiscGal31 and Gigi is _GEE 17. So let us know if you are enjoying the action here as this women's match final gold medal matchup heats up here under the warm morning Heidelberg sun. Japan moving it nice and smoothly. Takase, far sideline. It's pick call downfield, give us a brief pause. You can see the setup here. All of the players in front of the disc for the Japanese. They love those around breaks, but try not to lose too many yards on them. As the US try and smother pressure. Nakayama, far side of the field. Up to Tajima, who had a wonderful semi-final. Watch that one back and see her make defensive play after defensive play. Nice find. Centre of the field, Imanishi. Is she going to put another stat on the board? Oh, yes, she is. Finds her teammate Momoka Hiroshima laying out, and that is another clean hold for the Japanese.
You can feel the energy around the stadium. It's palpable. The crowd is getting loud, especially for this time of the morning. And what a game to be watching. Japan working their offense so nicely down the pitch. Just clean pass after pass after pass, and that's something that we've discussed all week. We've done a fair few of the Japanese games, and they've been different every time, which makes it enjoyable to watch. But we do see the same features, the same clinical offense that Japan seem to bring every single World Championship, as we see that incredible bid, saving the disc from the turf.
Yeah, not oftentimes you see the layout clap catch in the offense of other nations, but the Japanese seem to favour that, just securing the disc, making sure that just extra little touch. But the USA still looking fairly dominant here. They lead those two early breaks at this wonderful World Flying Disc Federation event. Of course, getting Olympic recognition. The International Olympic Committee recognised the sport back in 2015. So the USA on the offensive attack, fighting against now a Japanese zone look. If you think about the senior size of these two nations, that's been used to great effect in the past, but that is a visionary throw from the USA. Ella Melik with the score after her teammate made a great run, Carly Campana, down through the centre of the field.
A fantastic throw from Samia Ismail. Beautiful vision from the back corner of the pitch. Seeing the Japanese zone, a loss of pressure, was sat into the hands of the number 44 of Carly Campana. And now a household name, Dina Elimelek with the score.
Yeah, Elimelek, of course, of the San Diego women's scene. Plays for that university side, which of course won that iconic women's final earlier on this season against some of her teammates. We have some of the Dartmouth roster here on this national side as well. And the US contingent are here at large. I can hear them through my headset even, GG, cheering on their teammates. We'll of course see the USA in some of the other matchups later today, bringing you wall-to-wall delightful finals action here on the sunny fields in Heidelberg. The captain Hansen with the pole for the USA. Nakayama starting us off. Yamauchi surveys the field for options, finds Imanishi on the inside. He's going to open up the arm. It's going to be a beautiful put into the space, but it's going to have to be redeemed. Oh, heartbreak for Japan. Just a little bit too much pressure. You see the arm of apology going up. A missed opportunity for the Japanese.
So close. The crowd was getting so excited for that. Jise Kono looking to get the second attempt grab. Wasn't the intended target, but Japan always looking to back up the disc, back up their teammates and be there for extra support.
Worthily going to ground there to keep the disc securely alive. Finds Lindgren center of the field, back to Worthily. The safe, big-gloved hands of the US handler. Nice flow upfield. Lots of yards being gained by this flowing offense of the USA. Move around to Hansen, who's going to open up the break side, exposing Kira Lindgren in the end zone. And it's another break for the USA. Lead the charge now, 6-3.
It's incredible having the opportunity to watch this US side take advantage of the mistakes that Japan make. Very rare mistakes from Japan, though. This is not the same clinical, clean team that we've seen in the past. There was that disc just slightly misread, Kono having to make a bid in an attempt to save it, to redeem the throw.
So close though. Did get her hand almost fully around the disc, but just perhaps a little ground strip there. And unsurprisingly, we see a timeout called by the Japanese. So, Gigi, currently Japan 6-3 down. The USA with 3 breaks already to start us off in this women's gold medal match. If you're a Japanese coach, what are you telling your team?
Just to keep things simple. We know how well Japan can play under pressure. We've already seen it in this tournament. The losses that they've had have been, the lone loss has been against the US. They have had difficult games as well. So against Canada, they've played against the Canadian team twice. The first time that they came up against each other was a 15-14 win in the favor of the Japanese team. That was very close. They were trading breaks, trading holds. It was a 9.5 minute long point, which Japan managed to grind out and take for the score. If they can keep up with this particular grind as well, maintain endurance, but just keep the offense simple, apply pressure on defense, then they can certainly take this away from the USA.
Well, we will have to see if indeed the Japanese can find their form here in this gold medal match, as we see the USA putting a cup of giant human beings around the handler set of Japan. This is a smart move. The Japanese do have phenomenal throwing abilities, but it is so hard to puncture over the top of that cup using some of their biggest players, but that's going to be out of bounds. Yamauchi not able to jerk up the foot that was out of the field. And an overthrow from Japan, giving the US a relatively short field to work with as Ismail furiously cuts. Another layout clap catch. I seem to be being proved wrong about that not being the favoured choice. Campana keeping possession alive for the USA. Heko has a moment to wipe the palm. It is very warm out on these fields this morning already. Local time only 26 minutes past 10. And a stall out gestured by the Mark Chusei Kono there. Let's see if we can get a snap of this conversation.
Do you want to translate? Yeah.
You can see the Spirit captain coming on, the number 25, Fuka Ugai.
Yeah. And then I think I threw it before 10.
Yeah, she says you had a disc when she said 10.
Okay, both of you, you said you threw before 10 and you said she threw after?
Yeah.
Do you want my perspective?
Sure.
From my perspective, it was too close because I couldn't hear the stall from over there. So we should treat this as if neither of you is going to change her mind. We should treat this as contested.
So a contested stall out on the field between Chise Ono and Abigail Hecko.
A contested stall out is treated in a particular way, so the stall count is 10. If it's a contested stall out, then it is brought back in on stalling 8.
And of course, if you're new to the sport, trying to eliminate some Frisbee jargon for you, the stall is the fact that you have 10 seconds to pass the disc, or else possession will turn over to the other side. As we see Jezierski, disc in hand, faking furiously. Oh, an offhand toss, and the two players are going to battle for it so hard, going to ground. And that looks to be, oh, good, both popping out of the grass there. But what a battle from Nishiura and Ariel Nelson.
A lot of pressure for that grab. Ariel Nelson managing to maintain possession, immediately calling the foul. Nelson, another stats leader here with 14 assists to her name.
Oh, and she picks up another one, finds Zelemelek on this near sideline. The USA bring us within 1 point of the half.
It's as if she could hear me from the pitch, me mentioning the fact that Nelson has 14 assists, now 15, bringing the score to 7-3. This is such a bizarre showing from the Japanese side. The fact that they've overthrown, that foot being immediately out, potentially just unaware of where the sideline was, not necessarily concentrating as much as possible.
Well, you could see that the player was aware that they were on the sideline, trying to pop up that foot, but it just a little bit too brief. You know, if you're going to have to toe it in, you really have to maybe, you know, use some ballerina skills, go on point, literally, to toe that one in. But this is, as you mentioned, a little bit bizarre. The Japanese not executing their throws as well as they might like to, and very different from the shape of the power pool matchup, where the USA, as we've already mentioned, we're a little bit more experimental, but they're just really pressuring the open unders for the Japanese right now. They have very little flow, and they're even managing to shut down some of the resets. So, Japanese in play. Murata with the disc, sits down in that pivot and surveys the rest of the field. Eventually, in comes Miyaoka. This is not the fast movement we've seen from the Japanese before, and that is a huge run-through layout bid and an immediate timeout call. Unsurprisingly, but Sadie Jezierski, what a play.
Incredible bid from Jezierski, wanting to make sure that the US can actually dominate in this match. They're knocking on the door of taking half here. It's 7-3 as we get to watch Jezierski. Oh my goodness. Flying bid. That was incredible.
Well, Jezierski getting the disc back for the USA. They've got the timeout in the bag to call. But is this going to be the infamous turnout, Gigi? Oftentimes you'll see ultimate players call a timeout in a position situation such as this, and then not execute as much as they might have hoped, giving the disc back. My thoughts would be that the USA are probably good enough to not fall foul to that, but we'll have to see.
They certainly are. Very experienced side. A lot of these players having played at college nationals, at WCC last year in Cincinnati. They're not afraid of the pressure. They know what it's like to be in positions like this already, just getting used to it.
Well, as the action heats up here, the stands are starting to fill with bodies of the other players here at this World Championships. That's a lofty release, reeled in by Catherine Lanier for the score. The USA continuing to put those high balls up and bring them down, and they take half in dominant style, 8-3.
They make it look so easy. If you're wanting to learn how to play with class, with style, with sheer athleticism, power, watch this USA side. As you mentioned, dominant fashion. They know how to smother other teams. Taking half, 8-3, a 5-point buffer. And Japan are just crumbling under the pressure.
They certainly are. It is really all about the USA women's side for the first half, just crunching through, starting us off with those two very dominant breaks. We're going to get a chat from the sideline with our wonderful colleague and reporter, Becky Thompson.
I am here with one of the USA team captains, Ella Hansen. It's been a great first half so far here in this game against Japan. How does it feel out there on the field?
It feels great. I mean, we've been able to really execute on our break points, and I don't think we've turned it over more than once or twice. So that feels really good. We're able to get turnovers and put them in the end zone consistently, which is really awesome.
And Japan have shown throughout the course of this tournament that they can come back in games. They're never truly down and out. How do you keep some of that defensive intensity going in the second half here?
Yeah, I mean, we have to stay energized. We have to keep our own energy up. I mean, last game we played against Japan in power pools. They took half, and we managed to come back. So we know that anything's really possible in this, and we just have to stay energetic, keep our energy going through. You know, getting a break to take half is really brings up our energy, but we have to make sure that we, snack, get some water, and stay really engaged with each other and keep our own energy up so we can bring that energy from the first half into the second half.
Amazing. And last question, there's a lot of American fans in the stands here today. It seems like they're really amping your team up. Is that atmosphere helping you in any way?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, there's 3 players on our team for whom this is their first finals ever of any tournament, and a couple of us multiple of us actually have been in World Championship finals before. So we've got a big spread of experience here. But yeah, the fans are awesome. This stadium is great, and it's a really awesome place to be in. Yeah.
Great. Well, good luck in the second half, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, and you are obviously part of those awesome fans. If you are watching this live stream, you can reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram, but we will be back.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
Every time we touch the license, we play better. Let's go take down the trail.
An Ulti-World subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis.
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
Documentary shorts.
And we've played Brood Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
And a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
Welcome back to the action here in Heidelberg, and it is hot local time. About 22:11 in the morning, but the sun is blazing down on the fields here of this women's gold medal match-up. The USA leading the charge 5 breaks up of score over the Japanese. And at the moment, Gigi, what on earth do you think is going wrong for Japan?
A lapse in concentration, perhaps. They're not executing their offense as well as we have seen previously. And it's almost as if they're nervous. It's understandable why they would be. The energy within this stadium is palpable, and it's very contagious as well. And when you are on the pitch, you're not necessarily getting as hyped up as you can do for offense. For defense, it's a different story. You can feed off of that energy, but if you're trying to execute a throw and you're realizing how big of a game this is, your execution becomes really sloppy.
Well, we did hear from the captain of the USA side, one of our own, Ella Hansen, an occasional camera operator for Fulcrum Media. Wonderful to have her showing us what she can do on the field in this matchup, but she did mention the fact that they'd have to use the energy to flow themselves into the second half. They are coming out on offense. Their 5-point lead is pure breaks. But look at these stats, Gigi. Clean holds, 3 for 3. The O-line of the USA yet to be turned, but dramatically different for the Japanese, who've been so consistent all tournament.
So Japan with 7 turnovers, but they have, well, again, you can see on the stats, 7 turnovers for Japan with 7 blocks from the USA. They have been generated by the USA, and that itself applies pressure. It's not necessarily throwaways. It's just USA under every disc, making moves, making blocks. It's too difficult to work around.
And they are using their advanced stature, are the USA. They do stand firmly over the shoulders of all of the Japanese players. The tallest for Japan is number 17, Juna Murai. Not the biggest individual in the world, though, as we see the US pumping themselves up for this offensive point. Immediately after the races, a rather short pull, barely reaching the brick mark, but that was bizarre indeed as the USA throws straight into the hands of Kaho Sekimoto. Golden opportunity for the Japanese to try and swing momentum in their favor. They find Nakayama up line. Nice around pass, Murata. Has open availables in front, but chooses to swing it across. Nice lateral movement from the Japanese handler set right now. Being nice and calm and conservative. Nakayama reaching closer to the goal line. A little slide catch from her teammate, who pops it over the top, and that is a score! A break for Japan! Much better scenes, Gigi, and this is getting very exciting.
What a way to start the second half. The disc moved right into the hands of Sekimoto. An unfortunate and very rare error from Angela Zhu. We get to see that again. Japan doing well, a high release break. That was delicious of a break.
Yeah, just sits it up into the space, perfectly snaffled by Yuka Miyaoka. But the bizarre scenes, the Callahan Award winner from 2017, one of the captains of the US outfit, just throwing directly into the defense. And we talked about the fact that the US O-line hadn't been turned, and commentators cursed perhaps them giving us one to look at. But this is a potential opportunity for the Japanese to take control a little bit more here, try and swing this one in their favor. We've seen them claw their ways out of some holes before. I'm cognizant of their semi-final matchup against the Canadians, who were, of course, knocked out by the Japanese. The US, though, didn't have an easy berth to finals by any stretch of the imagination. They took on the Colombians, only squeaking that one out 15-12. So Zhu finds Werfeli. Those two working it nicely and calmly around the back of the field. A little bit more aggressive now as the Japanese play a loose, zony format of defense. Heko on the brick mark. Distributes to Zhu. You see the way the Japanese are just poaching off, nearly getting a focus error off of the USA. Zhu punches it up to Boyle. They throw a little fake, trying to connect with Werfeli. Eventually they do. Werfeli getting low in the pivot. Nice body behind the disc, and it's going to be Boyle in the end zone, but they can't lay out and make the grab. It's a turnover for the US, giving a whiff of another break to the Japanese.
Boyle sucked into the defender's body, misreading the disc. They had to put their body on the line, trying to attempt to get another grab.
So Japan with another opportunity for a break here as the US O-line give us their second turnover of this game. Movement around the back under piling pressure, huge layout attempt, and that's a big put of Japan's own. Perfectly received in the breadbasket. Nakayama reaching down in towards the end zone. Can't find much in the shape of a reset, but eventually puts a visionary throw out. There's going to be a stall out call. That was a pressure valve release and a half though, Gigi.
Fantastic read from Nakayama. There's no contest on that stall out. That means that the disc goes back to the US.
Well, the USA's offensive line are all extraordinarily good at playing defense, and we see them there get exactly what you want as a defender, a stall out, as Ella Melek's going to toss it into the turf.
Second half jitters from US. Not being as clean as they were in the first half, a fair few turnovers, and it's from their own mistakes.
And so the Japanese once again trying to advance down the field against the defense of the O-line of the USA. They put another expansive shot. It's going to be good for Japan. 2 breaks to open up this second half. And my, oh my, Gigi, what a match we have developing in front of us.
Nakajima chasing this disc down, making sure that the US are scared. They are a force to be reckoned with in this second half, getting yet another break. Watching that back again.
Look at the execution on that backhand. Buttery, silky, smooth discs from the Japanese women, and this is what they came to do at this tournament. They had their eyes on the prize after their bitter disappointment in Perth but a year ago. And you see the coaching staff of the Japanese there. Yukari Kobori, the head coach, and Gaku Genshima, the assistant coach. They note their most influential player as the captain, the number 12, Yamauchi. It's been a rock of the Japanese offense. So the USA perhaps getting a little bit overconfident here, just giving the disc to the Japanese on their own personal errors. Let's see if they can get a clean hold and maintain their 3-break lead. Nice find, Claire Trope in the center of the field. US doing really great work to just churn up yards with these big, deep, and then underlooks. Trope, Iwamoto to Lee. Not much movement from the downfield space. Do have Heko isolated at the front of the stack. Not sure if it's a pick or a foul call. Going to wait for some hand signals, but a brief stoppage.
The hand signals being very useful throughout this tournament, especially when there is a language barrier, but it's very useful for us as well in the booth, knowing what kind of call is going on.
And certainly in games when there are blustery, horrible weather conditions, very different from today, light breeze and sunshine can really help you communicate with all of your teammates on the field as to what is going on, as we see another pick from the stack of the US.
Just discussing what the stall count will be. The disc staying in the hands of Harris. Didn't affect their reception of the disc.
Another one of the tall people for this women's side. Harris, huge athlete, number 51. Furious faking from Heko, eventually finds a reset up that line. Iwamoto puts out a shot into space, a bladey flick, but it comes off the palm. Disappointment, just Lanier so unable to reel in that rather spicy disc from the USA.
Murata flew across the end zone, trying to stop the first initial pass. The Japanese defense has finally switched on to the fact that US want to get the disc moving quickly, especially in that end zone space. They had to reset that disc flying across the whole width of the pitch and just away from Sue.
It was a hard read, though. We've talked about the fact that it's sunshiny. Oh, but what a hand block and a half that is from Michelle McGee, sending the disc flying out of the Japanese hands and not in the way they intended. And they'll pick the disc back up. Lee with an isolation cut, but it's going to be a little bit too far. Again, an execution error from the USA. Japan really need to find some flow here if they're going to get their necks back into this game. They do trail by those 3 breaks that the US clawed off them in the first half. Oh, and that's a huge play. Getting the disc back down to the turf goes Abigail Heko. And that's a heckin' good play, Gigi, as we see Iwamoto swagger up to the disc. Heko isolated at the front of the stack, but Iwamoto immediately looks for the reset around to Lee. Stumble there. The two playing a little bit of give-go. Harris coming under. Again, those high lefty backhand releases of the USA. Breaking them up with great effect, but that one's a righty, and it's right into the path. Lee with the score.
Took a fair few passes, having to switch up what the USA were doing. Japan not able to convert on the defense. A fantastic bid from Heko. USA then going for a little bit of gender neutral homeboy at the front of the end zone to put the disc onto the break side for the score.
I love that, a gender neutral homeboy.
Inclusivity, gotta have everyone involved.
Oh, definitely, 100%. And tell you who else is getting involved on this live stream. We've been reached out to on Twitter by Jenna. Actually, I don't know how to pronounce her surname. I think it's Viner? I don't know. Either way, she's enjoying the coverage here on this live stream. The women's division gold medal match. If you are also tuned in, we are being streamed globally. 6 different platforms of coverage. Get your eyes fixed to this live stream as the USA come out 9-5. They lead the charge, but the Japanese starting to fight their way back into this match. Nakayama. Big fakes of that backhand side, but stall count getting much higher. Good give go. It's going to have to be laid out, but it's a bridge too far to be crossed. Nishiura getting a face full of dirt and nothing else. Oh, but it's an overthrow immediately for the USA. Hansen reaches the arm out, but just grabs the air. So Japan with the disc back in hand. Nishiura posts up line. Hiroshima wants that around, so very desperately puts a nice, oh, that's beautiful play from the Japanese. What a give go, floating it in for their 6th point on the board.
Momaka Hiroshima with the score for Japan. Getting fair few stats in this game already. I believe that's the 3rd score from her.
we see again that error from the USA. That's been the story of this second half for them. Their current offensive possessions are just littered with overthrows. And not even necessarily due to the Japanese pressure. We see a timeout call being called there. It's just all of the Japanese unit on the field. I remember when the trend first started of players doing that between every point, all of the individuals on the team getting on the line, just listening in, knowing what the plan is. And that's one of the key things about this Japanese women's side. They're so synchronized. The discipline and unity of their squad is absolutely phenomenal.
Three-point buffer for the USA, hoping to hold off this Japanese side a little bit longer, just until they reach the 15-point cap.
Indeed, and those, as you mentioned, Gigi, games here to 15 on the fields in Heidelberg, not 17 as we saw back in London in 2015, where the Japanese did snag the gold medal from the claws of the USA. That was an absolutely beautiful performance from both sides that year. And the game length on a time cap, 100 minutes, as we see Angela Zhu getting low for the reception. A zone look once more from the Japanese. Oh, and that's a nice slicing inside throw, cutting through the Japanese zone, sagging off the handers, allowing the easy resets, but trying to cut off those big, deep receivers. Nice to see perhaps the US being a little bit more aggressive. There you go, nice giving going up the far sideline. Zhu pops around to Werfeli, doesn't have the continuation for the around reset. US players stretching themselves very wide across the field. There is space behind that second wall, which Boyle is in, but that is, oh my goodness, Dina Elimelek with the score. And she was in acres of room.
We saw in the first half Japan put on a zone. Samia Ismail with the disc in hand on the far sideline, sending it down pitch, as she does the same thing again against the exact same zone. It looked like the USA was struggling to get the disc moving. All of their cutters were sat really deep down the pitch, stretching out the zone. But if you've got so many people that deep, it's difficult to gain any sort of momentum. If you're wanting to break through the zone, you need some people available closer to the handlers, having some people stretching it as well to actually move the disc. But Ismail stretching it herself, just getting that disc sent towards the end zone into the hands of Elimelek.
And a very easy score there for Dina Elimelek of the UC San Diego program, national champion this season. Made herself very famous with that mermaid catch, which was a sensation, an immediate meme on social media. So we see Ella Hansen there launching the pull for the USA's defense. But not oftentimes you see Elimelek able to just reel it in so softly, as you saw Ismail with the binoculars on. So the Japanese to respond. A low disc gets well received by Nishira. Around to the captain, Yamauchi. Japanese looking a wee bit hesitant, but nicely breaking around. Inside to Nakayama, who puts it up this near sideline. Oh, and she shoots, and she scores. That is a visionary throw from the Japanese player. What a lovely, saucy, around forehand.
It's so tempting when you see the 21 shirt of Kanari Imanishi in the end zone. You cannot hesitate to throw that shot. Imanishi and Tajima, both stalwarts for this Japanese side. They're getting a lot of stats on the board.
I recall, but one day ago we saw Miwa Tajima against the Canadians, who play a similar style of sort of aggressive, very, well, a little bit of tall ball ultimate, maybe possibly argue, but she had some absolutely phenomenal defensive plays in that match, and showing us that she has some throwing prowess too. Of course, the Japanese women's scene in general known for having pinpoint accuracy, and that is to their advantage. Of course, they cannot just sit things out into space to sit and hang. They have to lead each other, use their speed and agility to lethal effect. So trading out in the midsection of this second half. The USA, though, still leading the charge after that wonderful 4 unanswered points to close out the first, as they keep their eyes on the gold medal. Lee into Trope. Has frantic handlers trying to get out a pass, and it's going to be a bit too far. Great effort from Inamoto, but just not quite there. And though the Japanese relatively short field, picking up the disc just behind the brick mark. Might have to look for some negative yards. No, does find Kobashi. Puts it inside. There is a pick call on the field. Ieki looking suspiciously free. And so the game advisor there, coming in to assist, Linda Kudo, speaks fluent Japanese, able to help in these women's games. Japan, close opportunity into the space, but it's going to be tipped out by Claire Trope. She doesn't have to worry at all about being in bounds and makes a nice aggressive play on the disc.
The disc was already on its way out of the pitch, but Trope making sure that Japan had no opportunity whatsoever to tow that disc in.
So these two teams now really finding the rhythm of this match and of each other. We're fully looking a wee bit flustered, but puts a calm one out eventually into the reaching palms of Trope. Back to Iwamoto. Worthily. Oh, look at that saucy inside flick, opening up the space to Lee. Dish to Zhu. Iwamoto, the USA looking in acres of space on these unders. Nice flowing movement around. A little bit static now. Can they up the tempo with a wobbly offhand? Oh, that's a huge play to keep the disc alive from Worthily. A nice around smothering coverage though from the Japanese defender. Wee bit of contact there. Murata on the mark. Awesome. A lot of Dartmouth connections out here on the field as we see Worthily bringing in a lofty pass. Expansively opens up though, and that's a cheeky little dish from the palm of Harris. Finds Zhu for the score. And that's another point on the board for the USA. 11-7 now. Just an offensive hold though. The Japanese trailing those crucial 3 breaks as they try and snag the gold away. But the US looking much tastier now, cutting out those errors and using aggressive defense.
That bid from Worthily, my goodness, that is worthy of a highlight reel. The offhand, backhand, full extension layout. The player from Dartmouth College saves the disc.
And so we see there Claire Trope, who did actually mention, also from Dartmouth College, currently leading the stats board for the USA, which is no mean feat, such a depth in that program. And also some lovely little award there you can see in our wonderful graphic as she tries to keep cool here as the sun is coming towards midday, local time 11 a.m. and it is warm and breezy here. Just a gentle caress of the wind, not really getting involved in this match. Currently 26 degrees Celsius. which is about the hottest we've seen it all week, Gigi.
It certainly is. It's expected to be above 30 degrees Celsius today, which is...
Well, that is a crucial error for the Japanese as the sun beats down on their necks. We're going to see the action hot up in terms of temperature, but also in terms of... Oh no, that's a big error for the USA. Just complete miscommunication. Giving the disc back to the Japanese. Nice high grab. Nishura finds Tajima. Much better flow here from the Japanese. Nice stifling of the big put from the mark. Nakayama, Tajima again. Those two connecting nicely here. Nakayama, no error on the catch this time. Japanese very close to the goal line. This is just the hold, but it is very important. Oh, and the lefty backhand going to be called down by the mark. The Japanese player did make a huge effort. Tajima will potentially watch that one back and see if we can figure it out. So crucial there, Gigi. Did she manage to hold on to it with that left hand that went under the body? It's called good on the field in front of us. What a splendid catch there from Miwa Tajima.
Game advisors did get involved in that call. As you mentioned earlier on, this is a self-refereed sport, but here at the WFDF sanctioned tournament, we have game advisors. They can offer their opinion, but it's not final. The players can also communicate, take their opinion.
And fans of women's ultimate more generally, this wonderful international audience we have being globally streamed here for the World Flying Disc Federation. You just saw a crowd shot there from our wonderful camera crew. And Marco, the coach of Marco Müller, the coach of the women's German senior program, will be going to the World Championships in Leeuwarden next year. Make sure you try and get yourself there. We have a wonderful volunteer staff at all of these WFDF events helping us out, scorekeeping, being tireless under the beating sun and enjoying some rather nice atmosphere. You get to watch the matches, but you also get to hang out in the volunteer area, which is has some wonderful stuff, some pickup games as well, which we've been playing in ourselves, getting some action here rather than just sitting on our bottoms all day. So the USA on their feet and on the charge here. We're trading out in the business end of this match, creeping towards that 15-point cap as the handler set of the USA creep towards the end zone. Making nice smooth movement, but relatively static. Angela Zhu, captain for the USA, hops to Werfeli, in fact co-captain for number 5. Just being absolute rocks of the USA's O-line. Nice swing over to Ishmael, who's been an absolute prophetess of a thrower here. Seeing the scores that no one else does. Oh, and there again, she throws a huge flick up to the end zone. It's a score for the USA. Carly Campana with the reception.
You can hear the crowd cheering on the American side. Lots of fans in the stands here. USA hugging, celebrating the score. You get to see that again. Ishmael, wonderful disc. That's the third huck we've seen leading to a score.
Well, you know what Ishmael's job is on this team. Sayaka Nemoto, the number 90 for Japan, throwing her body at the floor to try and prevent that pass. Didn't get quite enough though. Perfect position of the disc from Ishmael, just leaves it sailing over the fingertips, swiping desperately to try and get the block. The USA, though, currently in the driver's seat here, 12-8. They lead the charge after that crucial set of a run. 4 points unanswered to close out the first half. We did see a little bit of excitement in the beginning of the second half, Gigi. Those 2 breaks for the Japanese out the blocks, but just trading now, nice and secure here. So the USA, Hansen once more with the pull for the D-line. And immediately getting it underway are the Japanese. Nice find in the center of the field to the captain, Yamauchi. Tosses it up into the center of the pitch. Nice find for Tajima, who's going to put an absolute beauty, but it's going to be too far in front of the intended target, Momoka Hiroshima. Nothing she could do about that, but watch it sail into the grass.
Tajima with eyes for the end zone, wanting to gain herself another assist, but just too much. The wind has picked up a little bit. We're starting to get a breeze more in the stands where we were sheltered, so I can imagine down on the field it is a little bit more blustery.
Well, you can see the wonderful flags of the nations behind on those far stands. They are being caressed towards the overthrow position. Huge reception from Jezerski. Around to Hansen, who's going to launch it on that far sideline, and that's a huge blading, arcing disc, well received. Reset to Jezerski. Fakes the around backhand with wonderful swagger and style. Eventually use it though. Releases to Abigail Hecko for a USA break. And they take it within 2 of a gold medal here at the World Championships.
This is some wonderful Frisbee that we're very privileged to be able to watch. Japan just not executing their offense as well as they have done, which has led them to the final. Hecko towing it in, that break from Jezerski, using the entire length of her pivot to get that break off.
And so the USA advanced scoreline now 8-3. They snag another break back. They took 5 in the first half. Japan responded well, coming out with 2 breaks of their own to start the second. But this is looking like the USA are just starting to really turn the screws. They've had the Japanese sort of stretched out here on the field, looking very, very uncomfortable. And could it be that we're going to see the USA clean up here? Can they get another break and bring themselves within 1? Well, we will have to see. But the Japanese will respond. Can they be calm and cool and consistent as they have been throughout this tournament? Ishura finds Nakayama. Back in those nice jinky little shots that the Japanese women love so dearly. Big pressure from the defense, but Kono makes no errors. Punching, leading passes for the Japanese. Tajima finds Nakayama. Nearly stumbles, releases a big backhand with momentum. Pick in the end zone.
Nakayama for Japan, not having too many stats to her name, but has definitely been one of the main linchpin of the Japanese offense.
Oh, and it's a score for Japan, nice and easy. Yamauchi, the captain, using the legs, the power, the athleticism to just churn up yards on that break side. And as you did mention, Gigi, the number 20, sorry, not 23, we're talking about Nakayama. There are 2 Nakayamas, Yuki and Yuka, so fairly easy to confuse, but the number 23, she's been such a consistent cog, not very decorated as you point out, only 5 stats for the Japanese women, but very much a go-to sort of just release valve, a nice solid handler. it's been really lovely to watch her play. As with all of this Japanese women's side, they're not giving probably their best. They were a little bit shaken, perhaps, under the fiery pressure of the US defense. But they have been wonderful. You can catch plenty of this film on archive if you get yourself the subscriptions for the appropriate platforms. But they have really been a joy to see, as they always are, such smiley, positive individuals and so supportive of one another. Nice also to see their coach out on the field. So Japan's defense looking to take a break here. They need it so very dearly if they're going to keep the hopes of a gold medal alive. Werfeli fakes, calls Zhu under huge pressure from Japan as the crowd gasps. Trope falling to the floor, having no concern for her body, but that's an overthrow. Lee, can she do it? Oh yes she can. That's a beautiful layout score. Caitlin Lee making a hero of herself in this match.
That last point, my goodness, my heart is racing. Nemoto tried to bid to gain the disc. As you mentioned, the crowd gasped. I hope that the microphones could pick up. Low pivot from Werfeli. Zhu catching the disc under pressure. Out of the hands of Trope, but saving the disc. Lee in the end zone for another USA score. Only within one of taking this game.
And look at that redemption there from Lee. Shuts out the body positioning, the way she aggressively attacks the disc, closes the door on Tajima after what could have been a crucial error. But the USA now match point opportunity with their D-line could close us out here, but I'd certainly love to see a couple more points of this matchup between these two Titan powerhouse programs of Ultimate. So Japan, Takase getting us underway. Nishiura. And again we see this zone look from the USA, putting those big players in the cup, and it's a layout. Easy block for the USA in a short field now. Campana getting up big for the USA. Heko to Ishmael. Been such a good thrower all game long. Can she do it? No, it's an overthrow, but there's going to be a foul to bring that one back potentially.
What a bid from Campana. Brilliant awareness as to where the disc was going to go.
And it's a smart defensive look. The USA putting their biggest players in that cup. Normally see them downfield, but just not able to find any holes with the Japanese offense. Heko. Near side. Oh, it's an easy pop. That is game for the USA. They take another gold medal, and look at the celebration. Absolute delight. Commiserations to Japan, but they never really looked in it. Dominant style from the players in white. Congratulations, USA.
Gold medal for the USA. They got a little bit of a scare in the start of the second half, but holding off this Japanese team was a Herculean effort. My goodness, that is absolute class. That is how you win a world championship every single time. My goodness, I am speechless at the moment. It has been an absolute privilege to cover this match. We have seen beautiful plays, layout bids, layout blocks, huge throws from both sides. But Japan just stumbling under the pressure.
Well, and you cannot blame them. They have been so good. It ended with a relatively easy pass here. So we see the distribution, Campana getting the goal off the palms of Ariel Nelson, who's been such a wonderful distributor for the USA side, owning the stats board. But It just never really seemed to be Japan's game. They had errors to start us off, gave the USA a little bit of a scare, showed their quality of the side. They can hold their heads up high though. They've had a commendable performance, only being topped by the USA twice here at the World Championship. They'll be back, I'm sure, at the senior level. This wonderful developmental division, the under-24 side, giving these players these big game experiences and opportunities. That's it for this game though. All wrapped up here. We're going to bring you finals action though all day long. This World Flying Disc Federation coverage, copyrighted programming, streaming live globally. If you had to use one word to describe this match, Gigi, what would that one word be?
Stifling. Both in terms of the temperature, it's very muggy in the stands at the moment, but the performance from the USA was stifling. Too much pressure for Japan.
Well, it was all about the USA taking the disc away from the Japanese. Commendable performance, huge bids, huge puts. It's been a delight. I've been Hannah Pendlebury for Gigi Morrison, the World Flying Disc Federation Under-24 Championships gold medal women's match. We'll be back with you with more action from these hot pitches in Heidelberg very, very soon. Stay tuned.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
Every time the pressure rises, we play better. Let's go take down the champ.
An UltiWorld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis.
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
Documentary shorts.
And we've played Bird Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
And a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.